Welcome, beautiful. I am so glad that you clicked on. I have some pretty cool stuff to share with you today. Some pretty raw, vulnerable stuff, but also exciting and I think and I hope enlightening. So I invite you to stick around and bear with me. I do have some notes that I took because I've mentioned before in other videos that a lot of the things that come to me, I have to write those things down and plug it down on paper, because if I don't, I will forget it later and then the delivery will not be executed. So I want to tell you a little bit about me. So we're going to get on to a little personal level here. And then I want to express my feelings about where we are in current times in regards to the past when it comes to witchcraft. There is in my mind, there's a sense of everything merging, including science. I feel like scientifically, the scientists were a little late to the party of witchcraft. You know what I mean? I think that our ancestors knew a lot of stuff and said a lot of stuff and expressed a lot of things, and it was shunned, obviously, in a very big way. And magic was denied as being woo-woo and nonsense. Well, aren't things changing now, huh? So I want to talk to you about that and share a lot of my thoughts and feelings on that, and hopefully give you some nuggets to find your power even deeper than what you may have already. January 31st, I do believe, will be 1 year that I've been here on YouTube. And I came into this with every intention of sharing witchcraft ideas with you and sharing all the good, nitty-gritty stuff, all the fun stuff. And then every time I would go to make a video that would be on a topic that I would consider here on this platform to be a typical topic regarding witchcraft, I just couldn't do it. And so that's why over the last year, there's been such a lag in my videos being put on here, because I just couldn't wrap my head around what exactly to deliver. So then I just had this epiphany and I was like, I know what this is. And it's the fact that for me, spirituality and witchcraft are kind of enmeshed, right? It's not either or. I have done so much growing over the past few years that I am seeing that there's infinite potential in what's going on here and in our powers. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is about claiming or reclaiming your inner power and how to access that. So I will get started, and the best way for me to begin this is to open up a little bit to you and tell you kind of who is on your screen right now. I have had yeah, this is not going to be easy, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it because that's why I'm here. All right, so let me share with you some of the blessings that have brought me here. So I will start with, I was born. Yay! No, seriously, I was born to these beautiful parents, amazing woman who, my mom was so loving and nurturing and proud of her children. My daddy was in the Navy and very proud of that, and an Italian guy who was just so sophisticated and cool and on his game. And they were the power couple that ended up getting divorced when I was 4. So I had that blessing, the divorced parents' blessing. My mother remarried, and she married this despicable monster of a human being who would go on to, from the beginning, I mean, it obviously started before they got married. He started, And he did this from the age of 4 until 9. And then I told, he admitted it, and it stopped. From that point, I was blessed with being in a family of the most terrible domestic violence that I've ever, obviously ever experienced, heard about, read about, or seen. From that point, let's see, she finally, that was from age 9 that I told, and then when I was 15, everything came to a head and she finally divorced this creature. So let's see, from 9 to 15, there was that. At 15, she left, and I got to leave the home, the town, and the people that knew of my life and what it involved. I mean, there was poverty, it was awful. I'll just put it there. But that was another blessing that pushed me forward. So I married at 21, and we were together from the time that I was 17, and we divorced when I was 22. We moved across the states, and that marriage crumbled. He didn't want to have children, and I did, and he wanted a military career, and I married him honestly out of a state of fear, and knowing that this person, because he was a fantastic guy, absolutely wonderful, he was structured, his family was great, they had a normal family, and I knew that by staying with this person who I dearly loved, but more on a friendship stability level, if that makes sense, than a true deep love and an expansiveness of me as a person and as a woman, and I just felt that the growth was not going to be there. So we ended amicably, and then I remarried not too long after to my second husband. We ended up having 2 sons, and they are the light of my life, and that marriage also crumbled. Now, are we seeing a theme here? Relationships are just not going as planned. Oh, and when I was 15, I also got involved with a 25-year-old man, and that was not a relationship that lasted very long, obviously. So you see where this is going. So second marriage crumbles because I'm not a complete person. There's a lot of stuff going on. I started to drink, which came about very, very, very sneaky. Alcohol is one of the worst addictions that anyone can have. One of the worst, not the worst, but one of the worst, which would, it would come and go. I'd get better and then I'd drift back into it. So I was blessed with that. Then I met a very, very amazing man, and we ended up getting together, and we had 6.5 years of struggle, because he had problems as well, and I had my handful of problems. And now, mind you, for all of the things that happened in my life up to this point, all the blessings that were in place, I never sought counseling. My mother never took me to a counselor because there were so many fears around, being taken away from her, or who knows. But anyway, so there was never a moment, other than talking with my mom, because she was very open and loving, like I said, I never got a chance to purge, to figure out the healing elements that needed to be put in place for me to move through life. And I want to talk about chakras being off kilter. I was blessed with being a mess. All right, so there's that. Then this wonderful man that I was involved with, we were together for 6.5 years, and we had an amazing daughter. And then as I was kind of pulling myself together, I had already been to detox several times. I'd been in the hospital multiple times. I was blessed with several things physically that really, really took me down because of the alcohol. But anyway, so I was getting better and things were looking up, and me and this guy had this beautiful daughter, and we were in this beautiful home, and things were really looking up. And then one morning I woke up to find him dead, and he had had a massive heart attack. And so our daughter was 4, and it was that's a whole nother story. So there we go with my life being blessed to crumble right before my eyes, and everything at that point, it was very dreamlike. It was like I went into a state of nothingness, I guess you might say, except for barely keeping it together for my 3 children. Fast forward to moving away, getting into a new home, still in the same state, and then, oh wait, I didn't also mention that I was blessed with my mother passing away right after I had my daughter. My daughter was she was not quite a year old, and so many states away, I'm confronted with my mother, who was also a very severe alcoholic. Go figure, that's the way that she dealt with all of her, all of her troubles, is she went to alcohol. Unfortunately, that caught up with her. She developed hepatitis, and yeah, so she passed away when my little girl was only 9 months old. So I'm blessed with that, and then shortly thereafter, a couple years later, my fiance, the love of my life, the one person that I felt like I was gonna finally move into, expansiveness and grow with, I find him dead from a heart attack. So there's that, and then after that, I went downhill really, really quick. There was more detox. There was more hospitalizations. It was hell. There's no other way to describe it. So then, in the midst of all of this turmoil that is going on, and I've got my daughter, and we're in a new town, and I end up meeting this guy online, and now we're married and have been happily married for several years now, and we have twin boys, and now here I am. Whew, it's all just coming out in this video, isn't it? But that's what I wanted. I wanted to give you authenticity. I wanted to give you me, because what the hell, if I'm not going to give you me, and I'm not going to show up for you as I am, who I am, then it's all going to be this, it's going to be fake. And just as I told you in the last video, we don't need more clones. We don't need more people trying to be other people. And that was the problem with me making videos. So it's just because I kept trying to recreate or whatever, and that's just not where it's at. So it might sound crazy the way that I have referenced each of these things in the past being blessings. You're probably thinking, this woman's out of her mind. Those are all horror stories. And yeah, they are. They're sad. There's a lot of sadness in there. There's a lot of fear in there. There's a lot of insecurity in there. I want to talk to you about some of the things that I wrote down here, which I think are super, super important. We're going to go off of what I've told you, where I came from, and then I'm going to feed into that as I tell you some of this. When you look back at the old days of witchcraft and where those people were, you look at their environment and the times, and when these people, women, men too, that were witches and were delving into the herbs and the healing agents and things like that. I think that the main focus, now this is just my opinion, a lot of the information from those days has been lost. They certainly couldn't write down what was going on for fear of execution. So we don't really know. The fact is we don't know what they did and what their powers were and what they were capable of. But the purposes were for healing. These women were tapped into, or men were tapped into these gifts within them. They just had this understanding. They had this awareness of plants and the medicine within. And there was also this steadfast will within them to help and to make things better. So there was the healing. There was an element of witchcraft that was used for protection. They used their gifts and their beliefs and their inner power for becoming a force against wrongdoing or unjust situations. Or it was just a matter of them finding an alignment with nature and with the allness. And that's another thing that I want to express here, is that at the end of the day, regardless of what path you're on, no person here has ever figured out what the hell is going on. We're here and we have all these things, and we have humans, and we have evolution and this universe and planets, and you get my point. But what the hell is going on? None of us know. And I think that the most important thing for everybody to do, in my opinion, is to just admit that. Like religions and Christianity and different places want to tell you that this is what it is. Well, I'm here to tell you that we don't know. And as soon as we can say to ourselves, we don't know, well, what does that do? It opens up your mind for opportunity for growth. As soon as you put down the cap of all knowing or having the answer to what's going on, then you're flooded with potential. And I think that's incredible, because that means that there's infinite possibilities. Now, I want to fly. I'm just telling you, I want, not in a plane and not in a little hang glider. I want to go outside and I want to lean into the air and I want to feel that force just like I do in dreams. I have dreams about flying all the time. And I want to be able to have the air just lift me up, and then I can just fly everywhere. And it's crazy sounding, right? Well, I think at one point in time, back in the good olden days, there was an individual who said, I want to fly up in the sky. And it was a thought. And that thought became an airplane. So, we can fly now. That's not what I mean. I want to take it a step further. I don't want jetpacks. I want to friggin' fly. Okay, I'm going to move on now. I'm going to get into some of the things that I wrote down, and I just invite you to stay with me, because I really believe that some of the things that I say here will tip something in your mind and at least make you think. So the two sides of the coin, this keeps, my lighting is doing whatever. Sorry about that. So the two sides of it, if you look at them on a separate scale. So you have the spiritual side. Well, let's start with the witchcraft side. So I think, as a rule, witchcraft is looked at as finding a power in projecting our will to create an outcome that we desire. When you look at spirituality is two things: acceptance and allowing. And that's the reason that I mentioned the things before in my life that seem so hellish. I mentioned and called them blessings, because essentially, until I was at a space like where I've been for the past 6 years, that's the reason that the drinking occurred. That's the reason for all of the coming apart of who I thought I was. Because, well, I mean, first of all, let's be serious here, the things happening so early on completely shook the foundation of who I may have become had things been normal. So they were blessings, because I wouldn't be here with you and I wouldn't be sharing the things that I'm sharing. And I think for me, a lot of times, one of the best things that I can see in society is someone who has been in the pit of it all, the pits of hell, and then they rise up and then they shine, they do the thing, instead of letting those things defeat them. So looking at it and calling them blessings for me is not only healing, but it's I'm rambling. I'm going to get back to what I was saying. Magic can only be as powerful as the person performing it. So if you don't have your crap together, you might think you do, and you might look at the things that have happened to you in your life, and any type of trauma or anything that has dragged you down. And most of this starts literally in childhood. It can be in school, it can be your parents who conditioned you, anything out there that affected you as a child started the putting together and the building of the person that you are currently. So if you think about that, if you have had these things happen, these hurts or whatever, and you've not resolved those or you've not faced them, then as a witch, those things are still flowing within your energy. Everything is energy. And remember, I talked about science catching up to the party. I don't think back in the old days that they understood that everything was energetic. But now we know that. Like, I'm literally just a collection of like particles and waves and energy and So knowing that, there is only one way that I can show up to you. There's only one way that I can show up to anything, and that's going to be the current energy that I hold. So I think that like the most powerful that a person can be, and this is out, we don't have to call it witchcraft, we don't have to call it anything. The most powerful path that you can go down is becoming a master of you. Because at the end of the day, the only person that you're in control of is you. And learning to understand that anything that's blocking you from your path, blocking you from evolving, it's going to be stories that are in place that are false, that are based on insecurities that come from your past. And so becoming your own master and learning to go within. And so that is going to involve releasing judgment and releasing resistance to anything, because as they say, what you resist persists. And so I think for me, a lot of what I experienced growing up, there came a point where the resistance came in when I tried to just push it down, and I tried to just say, that's my past and it's there, and it's not a part of me. I'm not experiencing that anymore, because that's not true. I never had a chance to look at it, and that's why I think shadow work is incredibly important, because that stuff was energetically still within me, which is where all of the problems came from. I had a special container for it, I guess, and I just kind of put a lid on that container instead of emptying it and facing the pain and all of that. The tools for going within are contemplation and honing your inner power. It's yours. It belongs to you, and no one else has it. It's just yours. And so as you begin to contemplate absolutely everything, you'll hear me often say, ask yourself why. Because many times the things that we do, the way that we're moving through this experience, is based on how we did things before. Because that is a space that we know. If we continue to do what we know, then we're safe. Even when people are unhappy, they'll stay in a situation because they know that situation. And moving beyond or asking questions about that pain that might be still in that container within you, it stirs up a whole bunch of I don't know. And remember, I don't know is not a bad thing. It's an exciting thing, because that's where the opportunity for growth is. How many times do you think witchcraft or the occult was reached for out of a place of self-doubt or rebellion or out of fear? I can tell you, after many, many moons of being a witch and my practice changing and evolving, I believe that magic at its core is about self-transformation. Once you get to know yourself, and once you go inside and you start to uncover all the layers that have been falsely placed there, you get to actually see and get to know what you're capable of in this experience of life. And you get to see the brightest part of you come out, and you get to really create change. And see, that's the change that we need to aspire to, is being the embodiment of a loving, powerful soul, if that makes sense, you know? Because as the things within you change, and you are literally just this vibrant, loving, balanced energy, you're gonna pull and attract that energy to you. Along with this inner transformation, this self-transformation, and a huge self-acceptance on the, you know, on a spiritual level, like, anything is possible. And I mean, we're limitless. Once you get to that place inside you and you build your will, and let's be honest, magic cannot, no spell is going to come to fruition unless your will is direct. And if it's kind of uneasy or unstable, then what you're projecting, the outcome's not going to be there. You have to have a stern and a firm will. And like, for instance, when I say limitless, like Wim Hof. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but Wim Hof, he's called also the Iceman. He has these breathing techniques. The dude be walking up mountains barefoot in shorts that are snow covered. The shorts aren't snow covered, the mountain is, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean, okay, that is a product of, that's will. He just decides that that's what he's gonna do, and he understands that going into his body and using his breathing, he can make these things happen within himself that allow him to be able to endure that. That's magic. So that's what I'm talking about. And speaking a little bit more to the topic of will, that's a reason I think that I've never joined a coven. There's just too many wills going on, and you might say that you all have the same projection and that you have the same intention, but if you've got several people in this situation and you get one person whose alignment energetically is off, that could be a recipe for disaster. So it just always, to me, it just felt like there would be too many things going on at once, too much of a potential there for something to go off. The major part of my craft and my ritual process and practice and all of that is, the majority of it is gratitude. When I have these ceremonies at the specific times that I do, whenever I choose, so the new moon and the full moon are my two major ones that I really, really get involved in. And most of the time, those are little rituals of gratitude, because my gosh, I have so much to be thankful for. The fact that I'm even here is magic. It could have gone so differently, but I'm here. And so as a witch, as a human being, and as a person that is very, very devoted to a spiritual path of growth and evolving, there's a lot to be thankful for. And I find that the more that I show up and I am grateful, the more things come into my life to be grateful for. The other part of my practice is devoted to figuring out how to align my energetic vibration to that of the thing that I desire. You know, and a lot of it is looking within and going within to, I guess, just to get the hell out of my own way is a lot of it, to be honest. Especially over this last year, a lot of my practices involved just a lot of divination to go within. And I'm not asking anything out there to come in and fix the problems or the obstacles or whatever that I have going on. I am looking deeper. And so that's what a lot of my practice is. So the importance of moving through witchcraft in the best state of alignment and working with the spiritual aspect of things, it puts you in the best alignment to attract the things that you truly want in your life. For instance, if you have someone in mind that you want to date or someone that you would like to get involved with, you might cast a spell to attract that person or just attract any person into your life. And you can check off all the things that you want that person to embody. But the truth is that if you're not, the vibration that you are at spiritually and in a self-loving way, that's either, it's just, the relationship's just not going to work. And that will, in essence, become a blessing for you to talk about in your future. Something, it will be a lesson. It's not necessarily going to be a horrific thing if it doesn't work out. But do you feel what I'm saying? You want to be a projection of all the beauty and all the love and all the acceptance and all of the limitless potential that there is for growth, you know, but you have to be that person. Yeah, so that's why spirituality and witchcraft, I feel, they merge, because this is about growing yourself and sort of unfolding in the best, most magical way that you can. I see a lot of spells for getting money, and that's great. We all like money and we want money, but what is your story to yourself about money? Like, I had a whole bunch of heap of stuff to get through in my own self-transformation. My relationship with money, it was that people who have money are rich snobs, and that money is out of my reach, you know, because I had such a low point in my life where that's what I saw. I saw people fighting over bills, and we had our power shut off, and we didn't have a phone, and the clothes that I wore to school weren't always the best. So I had a lot to work through when it came to my relationship with money, because if you think money's bad, how do you think you're going to vibrate on the same energetic level as money? You're going to maybe get it temporarily, but because it's something that you don't have a good feeling about or a good attitude or relationship with, it's going to go just as quickly as it came in, if it even comes in at all. It's just going to be fleeting and unsustainable. Another thing is to think about the fact that the magic that exists in this world, in this universe, is within you. It's within you. The fact that you're even here. You have magic coursing through your veins at every moment, every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day. You have magic coursing through your veins. And it's just a matter of knowing that and tapping into that. And your magic is going to show up different than mine and different from them. Do you know? It's yours. You are the magic that you bring to the table. And as soon as you know that, whew, it gets fun. So the way that I started this video talking about the crap that happened to me, the horror show that was my childhood, the reason that I referenced it as blessed, things that I was blessed with, it's I wasn't being sarcastic, you know, and I mentioned it earlier, but every single thing that happens to you is for you. because, and I, of course I didn't look at it like that at first. It took me many moons to come to the point where I could understand that this, this man that did this to me, he had a whole lot of junk. He had a lot of pain. I don't know what happened to him as a child. I forgive him, and that took me a long time to say. That doesn't mean that it was okay and that it was acceptable, but I'm not him, and I'm not the problems, and I'm not the pain, and I'm not the trauma, and I'm not the hurt and the fear and all of that. That's not the story for me anymore. Now it's that those things were a blessing to catapult me. They were the catalyst to get me to be here. And I want to tell you too, I wanted to share as well, even as a child, as a little bitty thing, I remember asking my mama, when little things would show up for me, I would always ask her, what can I do? Because, it still is, but back then to me, I had such a relationship with God. I was raised in church, and it was always, I had an understanding and a relationship there. And I was always thinking, what can I do? How can I say thank you to God? How can I say thank you and do something? And I'm now realizing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And all of those things, I never stopped believing just because these things happen. I never stopped believing, and I never lost faith. It was just the way things were. So what I'm trying to say is, take the things that you think are these obstacles or that is this crap, and kind of flip the coin and look at it a different way, because it grows you, and it's what throws you into tailspins in order for you to look at things different and contemplate differently, and get bigger and grow. And so I keep discussing your will and the importance of that. Now, the will is powered by the universe. And remember how I talked earlier about we don't know what's going on. We don't know what the meaning is, or why we're here, or who created us. I mean, come on, at the end of the day, was it one dude in the sky that created all of this? Was it a big bang? What the hell? We don't know. So, but what I do know, without a shadow of a doubt, and I always have, is that there is a relationship. There's a relationship. That is the one thing that saved me, my relationship to nature, because you can tap into that anytime. And what the cool part is many witches will go outside, even just spiritual people, just on a spiritual path, go into nature to connect. What I'm saying is that your willpower is fueled by the universe, and that's all the things, the energetic flow of the planets and the trees growing and the earth that we stand on. So I do this earthing even through the winter. I go outside and I stand on, we have a place literally shoveled the snow back so that I can put my little feetsies on the ground and connect, even if for just a couple of seconds, with Gaia, and it's just gratitude, So anyway, the energy that you can tap into is in nature, and I think so many human beings have gotten away from that. But if you connect with, literally, think of the 4 elements. There are 5, but so let's go with that. So you got the earth. The earth is within you. The air is within you. The water, that's within you. That's your blood. That's your fluids, your bodily fluids. You're connected. And then the fire. The fire is the energy that courses through your veins. The energy is your heart. Something's making that big, beautiful heart of yours pump. It's energy, and that's the fire. And then the spirit. The spirit is your spirit, and your spirit is expansive to the point of not even being able to to name the beginning. You know, it's connected to the allness, to the one dot that is the question of what the hell's going on here. Whatever the beginning is, whatever the source is, we're connected to that every second that we're taking a breath. And that's freaking magical. So don't think that you have to have all the other things out there to be able to pull you within and connect you to your will, because that is sourced throughout the universe. How many times when you're in the middle of ritual do you, this is why I love meditation so much, how many times in the midst of crafting do you stop and put your hand to your heart to feel your heart beating? Or just anywhere to feel your pulse. Oh my God, there's a heart beating. Like, that's incredible. Or, you know, taking a deep breath or feeling the sensations within your body. Just this vessel that we have goes so unappreciated by so many. And there's always just a little bit more, I think, that we could do to show the gratitude for this vessel. You know, this is what is the structure that contains the spirit, the consciousness within us. So the last thing that I want to touch on are fears about witchcraft or involved in witchcraft. There was somebody that I was following not too long ago, and I absolutely loved this woman. She was saying the things. She seemed like she was on the same level. It was just, I was picking up what she was putting down. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden she's gone. She completely rejected and pushed away witchcraft because it was evil. And she went to Jesus, which is fine. Like, it's not a judgment of her specifically, right? But what I want to share with you is that energy, like we talked about earlier, magic is energy. You are energy. And so, you know, crystals do hold energy. Tarot cards tap into your psyche. And they're, you know, if you start doing readings for yourself or anything like that, these specific things, like, that's why I do tarot, is because it will, when I read it, like, something will happen that will trigger something in me. Many times it's a blockage, or it's something that I haven't been looking at or haven't wanted to look at. And so that energy's there that kind of shifts my thinking, and then I move accordingly. A lot of people will experience this energy, the beautiful energy in witchcraft, and it spooks the shit out of them. And that's because they weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting it. They jump in with this attitude that, I don't know, if you jump in with the attitude that nothing's going to happen and then it does, or if you go into going with an expectation, I don't know. I hope you get what I'm saying. There's energy that is being tapped into. And when people feel this energy, they're kind of like, oh crap, what's happening? It must be demons in the room, or it must be evil of some sort. If it feels negative, it's probably something within you that needs to be worked through. And that's just my opinion. But yeah. So if you've stayed this long, I am so grateful for you. And I feel like making this video was incredibly important, just for me to move out of this box that I think I was putting myself into. Witchcraft and spirituality are one and the same for me. My craft still involves the candles, the tools, all the typical things, but it's so much more. It's so much more, and I feel a connection with it more so now than ever because of the acceptance that we're constantly evolving as human beings, and we're changing and we're moving and we're growing. I'm so grateful for you being here, and I hope you will continue watching in the future. But until then, stay magical and be blessed.